Now, I'd like you to take a moment to reflect on what you just thought about, those two experiences. Right? On the one hand, we've got the, yes, I love this job experience. And on the other hand, we have the hammer to the forehead experience that we just talked about. I want you to just think about, reflect, look at your notes, or think about the two experiences. What jumps out as the difference? Right? What stands out? If you're like most of us, when you thought about that sort of really, that time when you were in love with your job, the words that came to mind were things like energized and motivated and creative and engaged. And when you thought about how that impacted your work, you were rolling, right? You cared about it. You were committed. You were probably working harder than you ever worked. Because it didn't feel like work as much because we were in it, right? We were in love. And probably you were taking energy home, right? It was spilling over positively, taking positive stories home, having a positive impact. Now, granted, I know I've had people that push back on me and say too much of a good thing is too much. That's true, probably a few exceptions, but for the most part, really positive. On the other side, you probably thought about things like this. When you were out of love, you were drained, frustrated, trapped, disengaged. Right? When you thought about the quality of your work, now, I know everybody in here, by nature of being Iowans, right, we're committed, we have integrity. We're going to do our job even if we're not feeling it, but you're probably not going above and beyond. We're probably not being extra creative. I'm probably not logging in a lot of extra hours that I don't have to when I'm in that situation. I just want to get through it. Quality's probably not what it could be. And then the impact, man, this is where it shows up. I remember my last job was like this. I remember the day that I resigned. Went home after work, sat down to dinner with my family, and I just resigned to this job that had been a real big drain. And I remember I thought I was holding it together. I thought I was protecting my family from this. I can compartmentalize. I was keeping that at work and keeping the two separate. And I was sitting at dinner, and I will never ever forget my wife looking across the table and saying to me, "Man, it's good to see you smile." This floods back to me because when we think about this, I remember this, we talked about it more afterwards, and what she told me, which I didn't know, I thought I was protecting them from them, when in fact what I was doing is I was shorter, I had no patience, I just was stressed, I was eating and drinking way too much. And I was taking it out on my family, and I didn't even know it. Right? This really, really matters. Right? It's not just about work. It's about what we take home. And so the moral of this story is that when we have our heart in our work, when we are in love with our work, it has a huge impact, not just on the quality of our work, but on the quality of our lives. We call this engagement. We talk about engagement, this is what we're talking about.